you and I are about to have a lot of fun. Welcome to Mentorship 101, the most practical course you will do in the Pastor Teacher School. We are going to kick off this lesson with an extract that I took directly out of the book, Mentorship 101. And it reads like this. Being a disciple to another person is the starting point to learning to be a true disciple of Jesus Christ. Many want to skip to the mentor part and be the leader. I'm telling you now, the type of disciple you are will decide on the type of mentor that you will become. And so to begin this course, I start in the most obvious place of all, Discipleship 101. How can you know what to expect from a disciple if you've never been a disciple yourself? And so we're going to take a little bit of time for this first lesson as I outline the requirements of a disciple. And I don't want you to look at this as requirements of somebody else that you're going to mentor, but rather let's have a look at your condition as a disciple. Now, as we kick off this course, and we're going to go through a series of 8 lessons, there's a couple of things you need to know. Firstly, it's based on the Mentorship 101 book. It is a very practical read. All the principles, all the scriptures, all the teachings you need are directly in the book. What I'm going to be taking you through in the lessons is all the fun stuff. In fact, I would dare say that the majority of each lesson is all about the project. Because by the time you're done with this course, you're not only going to know how to mentor someone, but you will be in the process of mentorship. No exceptions. Every single one of you are going to learn how to mentor step by step. And there's only one way that I can help you to do that. And it's quite obvious. I'm going to be your mentor, and you're going to be my disciple. And I'm going to talk to you as if I was talking to one of my disciples. I'm going to teach you how to train others. And I'm going to leave out all the deep stuff. Yay! The crowd goes wild because, let's be honest, every other course in the school is very deep and you can get all the other teaching you need from there. What you need is the how-to, the step 1, 2, and 3. So every single one of these lessons are going to be a step 1, 2, and 3. So get ready to make notes because it's one of those lessons. And you're not making the notes so that you can remember the principles. You want to make the notes so that you remember what to do by the time I give you the required report submission, because never before have you ever been so active in a course as you will be in Mentorship 101. So, with that being said, each of these lessons are not going to run as long as they usually do. They're going to be quick, sharp, to the point, give you exactly what you need, and the longer phase of the lesson is going to be the living part. All right? So, you ready? Come on. Remember what I taught you in spiritual warfare? If you haven't got there, you'll learn soon that it's important to stop, breathe, come to peace, pick up your sword, and get ready for the battle. Submitting to servanthood, the first requirement to be a disciple. So, as I go through these points, I want you to ask yourself this question. Am I a fit disciple? Do I make the grade? Would I want to mentor me? If I think about my mentorship days, oh man, did the Lord get back at me? He got back at me so good. The first disciples that he gave me were just like me. And then I understood my mentor's pain because they treated me just like I treated him. You know, they say that the greatest vindication of any parent is when their children have children. And I say that to my girls all the time. I look at them and say, yep, don't you worry. You know, all this nonsense you gave me in your teen years and all the sass you gave me, I have just one consolation. One day, you're going to have a little girl just like you. And I'm going to be the grandma. And then I'm going to laugh. And I'm going to sit back and watch the fireworks. So, before we get on to that phase, how about we look at you and let's see what kind of disciple you are before you go out there and make a bunch of mini yous and wreak havoc in the church. So, number 1, submitting to servanthood. Are you content to abase? You know, Apostle Paul said, I'm content to abase and abound. We love to abound. The abounding is like, oh Lord, let abound me. I will be content in the abounding. Oh yes, I feel the abounding coming on. But are you content to abase? Are you content not to have the position? Are you content not to have the recognition? Are you content not to have the say? Are you content to have everybody rise up and you just be like Elisha, washing the hands of Elijah while Elijah gets all the praise and glory? Are you prepared to be a nothing? Because actually until you are, and I mean content, I don't mean suffer long. Very big difference between long suffering and contentment, don't you think? Long suffering is, it was tough, but I sucked it up and now my time has come. No, that's not what it means to be content. Content means that you are satisfied to stay there. Are you really content? With that being said, do me a favor. Rate your ability to serve on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being, I can't serve a fly, to number 10, I am the best model of, in fact, if anybody modeled themselves after me, they would be the epitome of servanthood in the body of Christ. Jesus could hold them up as a model for everybody else out there to conform themselves to. 1 to 10. Where do you stand in your ability to serve? You want to know how you should set the scale. Here, I'm even getting more specific. So you're looking and you're saying, okay, I'm not exactly a 10 quite yet. I'm not as bad as a 1, but I mean, generally, I don't mind being there. I don't mind going to the church early. No. This is how you're going to rate yourself. What you do when asked to perform a task you do not want to do. How do you rate your ability to serve then? Not in general. Not all the time. I set my mind to getting in there and serving. No. How do you serve when you don't want to serve? How do you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 when you're asked to do things you don't want to do, that you disagree with, that you don't like? That will rate how ready you are for discipleship. And then on to our next point. That was just servanthood. Submitting to pressure. How well do you submit to pressure situations? Specifically, how well do you submit your will to the will of another? Please don't misunderstand me. I'm not talking about liking somebody else's idea. I'm not talking about, that's a good idea, let's do that. I submit to pressure all the time. No, that's not how you gauge how well you submit to pressure. How well do you submit when the other person, the leader, says, we're going to do this, and it cuts right against that grain of weakness in you. Guys, we're going to do this job, and you think, I've never done that job in my life. I'm going to fail. I don't know how to do that job. Are you willing to submit then? Are you willing to submit when it's something you really don't like to do? When the pressure is on you in your weak place? You're being asked to do tasks that you know you're incapable of doing. How well do you submit to pressure? Because here's the thing, guys. Depending on how well you can serve and how well you can submit to pressure depends on how well you qualify to be a mentor. Being a disciple is realizing that everything is not on your terms. That is probably the hardest part of mentorship, I think. Even from my perspective, it's like I have an idea of where I need to go. And I have somewhat an idea of how to get there. I know the word. I can hear the voice of God for myself. And a mentor comes along, and they have an entirely different perspective. They see the world differently. They minister differently. And then they start telling you to do things in a way you wouldn't ordinarily do it. It's not on your terms. Now, if you've read, I didn't even give you the reading, chapter 2 of Mentorship 101, you'll start getting an idea of the requirements of both a mentor and a disciple. And I share how a mentor is someone that is instructing you in a specific area in a certain field of your life. A mentor can be a mentor in the church. It can be somebody at work who's mentoring you into a task. It can even be an older woman who's mentoring you in how to be a good wife or mother. Mentorship is, please go read the book. I lay it out there very clearly what mentorship is. So I'm not going to labor the point here, okay? I don't want to repeat myself. I want to try and cover new ground as much as possible. And I really drill this point home that it's not on your terms. Because here's the thing. If what you were doing with the knowledge you had and the relationship with God that you have was getting you to your destination, why would you need a mentor? If everything you were doing was steadily and quickly moving you to this place of maturity, why would you need a mentor? Well, you wouldn't, would you? But the fact that you need a mentor means that whatever you're doing and whatever your circumstances are right now aren't good enough to get you to your goal, whether that is a spiritual or a natural goal. So then perhaps, just perhaps, you need to do things in a way you've never done them before so that you can get to a goal you've never reached before. Let that thought sink a little bit in. Now, think about somebody whose mentorship you are under, somebody you're receiving from, any kind of training, natural training, spiritual training, family training, whatever. Think about that. Anybody, it doesn't even need to be directly a mentor, but just somebody you receive from on a regular basis that is helping shape you for your future. Now, I want you to quickly in your mind give me a list of where you think your mentor has place for improvement. I'm going to give you a minute just to think about that. Where do you think your mentor could improve? For some of you, the list may be long. For some of you, the list may be short. Okay, and I'm going to ask you two questions. I want you to look at that list. I want you to dwell on them. Do you want what they have or don't you? Oh, you're in that mentorship relationship for a reason. Why are you in it? Have they got an office you don't have? Have they got a strength you don't have? Have they got an ability you don't have? It stands to reason that you even engaged in this relationship because they had something you don't. Now, do you want what they have? Perhaps there's something they're doing that enables them to have that thing you do not have. Has it occurred to you that their flaws are part of that process? Come on, you should know by now that it's not just our strengths that define us as human beings. It's our weaknesses. It is the chink in our armor. I remember talking to the Lord about my naivety. I know I seem so strong and such a big mouth, but I am insanely naive. I always was as a little girl. It got me into a lot of trouble. I just kind of believed anything anybody told me. Now I have the word as my standard, but I'm still very naive. I tend to take people at face value. I tend to believe in them to the point of impossibility and say, no, it's going to be fine. I'm an eternal optimist. It's a great flaw I have actually, and I thank the Lord my husband is there to open my eyes sometimes before I jump into a ditch. And I came to the Lord and I said, Lord, I have this flaw. I actually end up going in wrong direction sometimes because I'm so naive. I don't see the trouble before it comes. And he said, you see a flaw, I see an opportunity. I see a part of your character that has given you a heart that I needed you to have to fulfill the purpose you have. Your flaw is part of what I need you to be. If I take that away, you won't have what you have. You see, we just see the good things we want in our mentors, but you don't realize it's their flaws as much as their strengths that have taken them to their goal. And besides, can we compare your flaws to theirs? Which flaw would you have, your flaw or their flaw? How about an exchange? Their flaws got them to where they are. Where are you today? Are you the disciple or the mentor exactly? let me give you another little bit of truth. There is no such thing as a perfect mentor or a perfect leader. I remember saying this to somebody once. They were saying, yeah, we're uncomfortable with this ministry, and it reminds me of that ministry, and it reminds me of that leader who did that. And I said, look, please feel free. Go and try and find the perfect leader out there. Please feel free. Go and see if you can go into this world and find the perfect, sinless, 100%, never wrong leader out there. Good luck with that. None of us are perfect. Christ perfects us, but He is the perfection. And if He's put you under someone, don't you think that that bit of perfection in them is the perfection He wants to bring about in you? So how can you set on your terms how that is going to come about? To be a true disciple, you've got to be willing to actually accept the flaws in your mentor. Now, I'm not talking about demons or clear heresy, in which case you shouldn't even be under that mentor, for goodness sakes. If your mentor is demonized, what are you doing? Get away from there. Are you mad or what? I mean, who does that? I'm talking about someone who really loves the Lord, who you've submitted yourself to, that God said you should submit yourself to. And yeah, they've got some quirks. I mean, hey, if you're prophetic, there's quirks going on. They've got a hard edge, they've got a big mouth, they're edgy sometimes, they speak when they shouldn't, sure. But guess what? It makes them a prophet. Prophets do that. You want to be a prophet, then you need that edge as much as they do. Do you understand? How can you be a follower, a true follower, if you're not prepared to follow? How can you be a disciple if you never allow yourself to be discipled? You can't just take their strength and the destination without going on the journey. Come now. Bring you to this point. Remember why you signed up. Why did you sign up for this mentorship? Look at the mentorship. Why did you say, yeah, that's a good idea, let's go for it? Whether you signed up or you were invited or you were given an opportunity to receive from someone. Why did you get on board? Why? For what purpose? Because you were bored? Didn't have anything better to do? No, the chances are you got on board because they had something you desperately wanted. They had something that, even if it wasn't perfect, was a little bit more perfect than what you had. Okay, I want you to see that goal in your mind right now. How close are you to that goal? How close are you to the strength that your mentor has? And if you're not very close, why not? Why aren't you receiving? Why aren't you submitting? Why aren't you obeying? Why aren't you in their footsteps like Elisha was with Elijah? It depends on you. Yeah? From lesson 2, I'm turning the tables and I'm going to put that pressure on the mentors. But this is my only lesson where I'm addressing you as a disciple. So give me my moment to shine. I want to put that pressure on you because you see, as a mentor, you're going to expect this whole long list of things from your disciple. So how about we put some of that pressure on you? How far are you? How willing are you to learn? Everybody has a list of how everybody else could do it better. Trust me, just be in a leadership position and you will be inundated with advice on how you could do it better. Okay, hotshot. How about you show us how you can do it better? How do you submit better? How do you listen better? How do you receive better than anyone else? Would you like a disciple like you? If not, change. Come now. It's time for you to face those hindrances. You see, because whether we like it or not, God puts mentors in our lives all the time. You don't even realize it. I mean, whether it's a great thing or a little thing, there are mentors. Our mom was our first mentor. I'm never mentored by anyone. I'm mentored by God alone. So what, you breastfed yourself? Seriously? I can't stand people like that because I'm like, you're so rude. You're just so rude. If your mother was born again and she put you on her knee and taught you about Jesus, she was your first mentor, and you're so rude to not at least give her some of that honor because I only learned from God by myself. How did you get born again? By yourself in a room. Oh, I see. And you didn't know where to buy a Bible either. The Holy Spirit told you where to buy a Bible too and where to read and what to do. No, somewhere along the line, someone shared the gospel, someone gave you a message, someone gave you a word of encouragement. You've had people all along your path who've helped you along, shown you, taught you. Some of them were good, some of them were terrible, some of them were demonized, some of them were spirit-filled. Hey, we all have a story to tell, right? But the point is, when God really does bring you someone who truly wants to invest into you and at least has the heart, if not all the skill, jump at the opportunity. You're not going to get another chance like that. And it helps you move along the process easier. I want you to think about this. What are the character flaws that stand right now in the way of your success? What character flaws are standing in the way of you receiving everything from your mentor? Look at yourself. You are too afraid to be vulnerable. You don't like being told what to do. You want to serve on your terms, not when you're told to serve. You hate it when people push into your space and boss you around. You want to be a loner and accomplish the tasks your way. You know, the thing is, those aren't necessarily bad. But if you want to be in a mentorship relationship, you're going to have to change. You can't hold on to those mindsets. Otherwise, please, don't enter into that relationship. Don't say to someone then, I want what you have, when you don't. You know, I look at Jesus and his disciples. Peter came to him and said, we gave up everything. Family, homes. I mean, they gave up a lot more than family and homes. They gave up old doctrines. They gave up their country. They gave up their archetype, both religious and cultural. They gave up their way of thinking for Jesus' way of thinking. And as a result, they took on his power, his authority. They got his strengths. What price are you willing to pay for the strengths of your mentor? And what are your character flaws standing in the way of that? And with that in mind, thinking of yourself as a disciple, let's translate that to the next level. How does this stand in the way of you being an effective mentor? If you can't even cut it as a disciple, do you think that your disciples aren't going to see through you? Do you think that they're not going to poke at those weaknesses? If you can't follow someone, do you think they're not going to poke at you when you try to lead? Do you think the enemy's not going to poke at you? Be a good disciple. Learn it. It's a skill. It doesn't come naturally. I mean, look at a little child. Just relating it to a mother and a son. I have to say again and again, oh, Michael, please pick up your toys, make up your bed. How many times do I have to tell him, would you please not toss the candy wrappers on the floor? Please don't toss the candy wrappers on the floor. How many more times do I have to tell him? But you know, I mentor him again and again and again. It's not natural for him to obey the first time. We had a little talk the other day and it was just so funny because I just recently been talking about how kids, you have to repeat the same thing again and again. And I was making a joke with my son and I said, so Mikey, were you good today or were you naughty today? And he went, well, a little bit of both. He's very honest. And I said, oh, I see. So what do you think, Mike? Do you think maybe this year, because it just turned over to the new year, I said, do you think this year that you're going to be a good boy and listen to Lord Jesus? And he says, yeah, I want to be a good boy. But Mom, you may need to remind me. And he was being so earnest, and I had to laugh because I thought, yeah, you know I'm going to have to remind. I mean, he has every intention of being a good boy. He doesn't go out of his way to be naughty. He's not that kind of child. But even he knew his own limitation, and he's like, yeah, I want to be good, but Mom, you may need to keep reminding me because I forget sometimes and then I end up being naughty and not listening to Jesus anymore. And it's the same with being a disciple. You have every intention of doing it right, but sometimes you're naughty and listen to the devil instead of the Lord Jesus, right? And you need to be reminded again that it's time to be good. It's time to do what God's told you to do, to walk according to the word. So yeah, it's a skill. Discipleship is not just something that you do naturally. Not even a baby does it naturally. So don't feel like you're the worst failure. But on the other hand, don't be so naive as to think it's all your mentor's responsible to make you into a good disciple either. It's up to you to submit and allow yourself to become a disciple. Just in the same way, it will be for you to stand up and learn to be a good mentor. So, with that being said, I've got a list of 6 questions for you. The question for the required report submissions are very important for this course. So please follow them very carefully. We're going to have a lot of fun with them. And for those of you who are doing the live training, I've got some incredibly fun group projects. You guys, you're going to laugh hard. You're going to be united as a student body. I look forward to seeing what God's going to do through you in these lessons. All right. So with that being said, lesson 1. Make a list of the discipleship relationships you are in right now, natural and spiritual. Who are you under? Who are your mentors? What relationships are you in right now where you're learning specific things? Okay. Number 2, I want you to rate your servanthood on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being weak, 10 being strong. Explain. Explain why you rate yourself. And please be honest. Don't be so poopy and full of self-pity that you say, a 1, I'm just terrible, or a 10, I've just made it. If I see a 1 or a 10, I'm going to give you the eye and say you're in the wrong course, just so you know. Number 3, rate your willingness to submit to pressure, especially if it feels unjust. In a scale of 1 to 10, how well do you submit to pressure? And I don't mean pressure that you see coming from a mile. I mean pressure. Boom! There it is. Do this now. Then, in that little moment, right there. Do this, but I don't want to do it. Do this, but I don't want to do it. There. 1 to 10. When suddenly the pressures come on you, do this, but I don't know how. Yeah, but I need you to do it now. We're late, but I don't know how. Do you submit to pressure? 1 to 10. Come on. 4. Include your list of the areas in which you feel your mentor could improve. Remember that question I asked you? I want you to put the list in there. Next to each line, I want you to do this. Make the list of all the areas where your mentor could improve, and then next to each one of those, write how you are more qualified than them in this area. So look at their weaknesses. And next to it, compare yourself to them. How are you more qualified than them in this weakness? Because you see, if they're your mentor, you will come to realize that actually you've got no room to talk. But it's like you have this expectation of a mentor that should be so much better than you, and you judge them for not being better than you in every area of their lives. That's called pride. So say now you say to yourself, well, my mentor could be more understanding. My mentor could be more loving. My mentor could be more level-headed. My mentor could address me in a kinder tone. All right. Are you, on a scale of 1 to 10, walking in agape love? Are you level-headed? How could you teach them then? Are you, and not even the same, are you better than them in each one of those? Let's go through that list and see how good you are. It's very easy to see where other people need to improve. But have you ever had the courage to weigh yourself point for point next to their weaknesses? All right. Number 5. Why did you agree to each of those mentorship relationships, the ones that you're in, where you're the disciple? Why did you agree? What is the intended goal? What are you in it for? Number 6, your final question. List character flaws that have been highlighted as you have been a disciple in these various roles. As I've been going over this, and even just in your experiences, what character flaws are coming out of you, both because of the mentorship and in regards to what I've taught you here? What is still standing in your way from achieving your goal right now? What things has your mentor brought up in you? And what things do you realize yourself, really, that you need to work on after this teaching? We're kicking off by looking at how qualified you are to mentor. I hope that I've challenged you a little bit and given you some perspective, because some of that pressure that I put on you is some of the pressure your disciples are going to have. Now, perhaps you've never been a mentor before. That's about to change. It's the Mentorship 101 course, people. So get ready for it, because here it comes.